how long did it take after this incident that then all the pro-Trump influencers turned it into a social media campaign? This is what I noticed. Immediately after the assassination attempt, it was literally every pro-Trump influencer on Twitter clearly got the memo. And I don't mean that in a manner of speaking. I don't mean that as a figure of speech. I mean, they literally got a memorandum. They literally got the memo. They're in a group chat. They're employed by one of these agencies, and they got sent the talking points and then money. They were told, all right, pro-Trump influencers, here's our next social campaign for $300. If you could just post the following message, and the message was, this is why we need a White House ballroom. I'll read a sampling because it is so on the nose, it's so blatant, you can't even exaggerate it.
Interesting.
And
interesting. So it looks like they're trying to spin this to be like part of the reason why the ballroom is so important. Because remember, the ballroom caused a lot of like a uproar where people were like, is this your priority? You have Americans that are going without food, the job market crisis, the cost of living crisis, the war crisis, right? And then you're talking about a ballroom. So now it looks like they're trying to spin this into like, you see, this is why we need the ballroom. This is why the ballroom needs to be bulletproof.
Drew Colvin from Turning Point USA writes, this is why President Trump needs to build the White House ballroom. Libs of TikTok says, this is why we need Trump's ballroom. Jack Posobiec, thank God President Trump is building a ballroom at the White House. See, so we switch that one around. Wall Street Maverick, we need the White House ballroom. Brylan Hollyhand, build the White House ballroom ASAP. Nick Adams, build the White House ballroom now. Randy Fine, we'd better never hear a peep from anyone complaining about a White House ballroom. All of those within hours of each other. That's not a coincidence. That's not like they all had the same idea. Do you know what that is? All of these people are being paid. Do you understand how this works? In the old days, politicians and corporations and foreign governments would engage lobbyists. They would pay specialists lots of money, and this is heavily regulated by the government, and there are disclosures, and there are rules, and there are monetary limits, and all kinds of things, and those lobbyists would use their connections in media, in government, among the political movers and shakers, and they would try to accomplish the goals of those political parties, corporations, and foreign governments. But with the advent and deregulation of social media, now lobbying takes a different form. And now foreign governments, corporations, and political parties and entities, now they just pay influencers. This is a real thing. This is not metaphor. This is how it works logistically. They pay influencers. They pay them hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, sometimes more than that. It's completely unregulated. It's totally under the table, and it literally works like that. They say, we will pay you $3,000 if you post a TikTok, and here's the script. And the script has to say this, this, and this.
And honestly, like, who would even blame anyone for taking such buyouts, right? In this current economy right now, like, heck, I'm like, where's my $3,000 check? Nah, I'm kidding. But for real, like, this probably explains why they're able to get people to do this, right? Because things are so hard out there, you know? So people who are just hurting for money right now, they will do whatever. It reminds me of Nigeria as well. Like in Nigeria, you have during the election time, people like these politicians, they end up giving away bags of rice and food to the voters just to buy votes. And then people are, oh yeah, you see, he cares about us. They care about us. And then once they win the election, then it's back to business as usual. You peasants, you absolute peasants. That's how it be out there.
They tell the influencers, make it your own. Say it in your own words, but we need this hashtag, and these are the points to emphasize, and these are the things that you have to say. You send us the TikTok. It's not even dependent on engagement. It's not dependent on how many people see it, like it, comment on it. It's just that they do it, and then they get the payout. That is what this is. So think of it. Some psycho goes to the White House ballroom to eliminate the entire government in the middle of a war after Trump has experienced 2 assassination attempts so far. His entire cabinet is in attendance. If this was a more sophisticated attacker, he would have wiped out the whole government and hundreds of other people. Would have been successful if not for his own incompetence, because Secret Service has either stood down because
Yeah, he could have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids, right?
of a grand conspiracy, or they're just not that competent. Within minutes of the assassination attempt, at the same time that we're being told this moralizing about the rhetoric from the left, and we have a problem, and people are doing another drive-by cry at the cameras about the horror, this is so sad. Within hours of the shooting, we get a social campaign about what? The White House ballroom. The GOP is already shelling out
That's
their
a little bit
thousands
crazy,
of
right? That's a little bit crazy. The fact that like something like this happens and people are talking about a ballroom, it shows you the times that we're living in, really. The fact that Iran continues to put out animated Lego videos, they continue to put out Lego videos in the middle of like a full-out war, it really shows you the signs of the times that we're living in, right? It's a digital age. It's an online age. Everybody be online. And really, like, we just need our elected officials to really get to work, right? Get some work done and make things more affordable for people. That's really all we're asking for, right? But instead of that, they'll rather like have wars and rumors of wars and just all these things that don't really add value to the citizens' lives.
Dollars. All right, Brylan Hollyhand. All right, Nick Adams, Jack Posobiec, Libs of TikTok. You know the drill. Here's our campaign. Build the ballroom. And it's what it is. And they're flooding the zone. Again, consider, they don't even measure engagement. It's just about flooding the zone. On X, on TikTok, on Instagram, just flooding the zone with repetition, influencers big and small, micro-influencers, larger influencers, and just putting that in front of everybody's face. So that everybody is thinking, so that your coworker, your vaguely conservative, knucklehead chud coworker is going to come into the office on Monday with a hot take of his own making. He's going to be in the break room or the cafeteria and go, well, this is why we need the White House ballroom. And you want to go, that's not your idea. The Matrix told you.
Yeah, like that was so funny. If anybody's talking about a ballroom right now in this economy, what we need is not a White House ballroom. What we need is like a cessation of all aggressions all around the world, right? Everywhere. Like we need to stop fighting. And then countries need to focus on their countries. You know how it's said, like, to your tent, O Israel. Everybody needs to go back to their tent. And then we need to start focusing on our own homes. Charity begins at home. And then we need to build back better, right? And that's just what we need to do. We don't need to be talking about any ballrooms or any wars. We just need everybody to just put down their arms, lay down your arms. Let's get to the diplomatic table and let's get back to like normal, right? This is not in anybody's interest. All this fighting, all this commotion is not in anybody's interest. Well, it's not in the citizens' interest. I don't know whose interest it could be in. Maybe Palantir or anybody that is like buying stocks, then sure, it could be in your interest. But to your average citizen, these wars are not in our interest.